Hello and welcome to the Lyman Lipke Guitarcast. I'm your host, Lyman Lipke. Got a little bit more housekeeping at the beginning of this episode, but not too much. First, this is episode 28. At episode 30, we're going to be taking a little hiatus. 1 month. It'll be the season finale. Is there anything special planned for the season finale? No, absolutely not. It's just going to be a regular Q&A episode. And then I will take a month off, but I'm not going to, not be working on this thing. I am in talks with quite a few different prospective guests, and I want to make season 3 really cool. As always, I am available for one-on-one lessons. If you've listened to this podcast, you are familiar. So please share this podcast with a friend who you think might find this stuff interesting. So they can get the spiel that I am offering one-on-one lessons. Do the YouTube stuff? I would really appreciate some likes on YouTube. So if you're listening right now, just obliterate that like button. That's the housekeeping. So I've got the Ibanez Geo back in commission. I did a refret. This is my 4th refret ever, and my 2nd successful refret. It didn't start out as a successful refret. I used too much glue, so there were a bunch of high frets, and so I was in there scraping the glue out, pounding frets back in. Then I had to, put some more glue back in somewhere, but not too much. Don't want to screw that up again. And there was a lot of leveling that needed to be done after that. However, it is a magnificent playing guitar at this point. And I'm getting much better at fret ends. I don't think I'm at any risk of hurting myself. And they don't even feel uncomfortable at this point. As far as the electronics goes, I did swap the pickups out. But I have the same 5-way switch. So, humbucker, top coil, both top coil, humbucker. We'll go over how that sounds. This is like a 43 gauge wire Alnico 2 magnet. And I've got a 1.1 microfarad capacitor in here. It's the one that has the 10 instead of the 47. So it doesn't filter out as much high end. Tone all the way off. It's a little bit honkier. But I really like, tone at 4 or 5. Wide open. Sounds great as well. Middle position, top coil, top coil. bridge pickup is a sort of PAF inspired. So 42 gauge wire, 5,000 winds on each coil. Top coil, bridge. I've got, the coil split, so you probably need to boost the volume when you go to single coil mode. And then bridge humbucker. And I saved my favorite position for last, the neck single coil. I feel like I'm getting close to my sound. The sound that I'm searching for. So that's enough, ogling about the guitar. One more last bit of housekeeping. Pickups are going to be for sale very soon. I've got tone demo videos, uploading as we speak. A student of mine wanted a P90. I had no P90 stuff, so I just bought some P90 stuff, slapped it in the guitar that I use for our lessons, because he tunes down a tritone. So low E becomes low B flat, which is nuts. And actually, I'm going to grab that guitar right quick. And Jason, if you're watching this, hello. I am talking about you. Lost my ears. So, longtime followers of me definitely recognize the $100 Telecaster. Got overshadowed by the $50 Telecaster. But you may have been missing this guitar as of late. Where has it been? I strung it up with a 18 to 70 set, and I tune it down a tritone. And that sort of gets me to the string tension that I'm used to. But I am very happy with... This isn't the P90 that's going to him. I bought a bunch of P90 stuff. And made him one, and then made me one. This... it's 42 gauge wire, and it's unpotted, meaning that the coil moves freely, meaning it's very audible when I tap. And I think that's what this guitar needed. It came with Guitar Fetish Dream 180s. I just didn't like those pickups. They felt really weird to play. It felt like I was missing something from my pick attack. this, I am quite the fan of what I've got going on here. And you'll notice there's no bridge pickup because I took it out. So I might be winding another one of these and putting it in my Oscar Schmidt. I've had the same strings on this guitar for, it's been probably close to a year. And I think I'm having intonation issues with the strings just because they're so old. But it's been a struggle trying to match a pickup to this guitar. But I think this matches pretty well. Found the culprit. I think. This podcaster just watched me tune. This tuning is great for playing tunes you know, along with backing tracks that you play in standard tuning, because it's a tritone away. So if you try to play something in the same position, it's gonna get a little wonky, or not be possible. So say Bye Bye Blackbird. This is how I play it on a standard 6-string guitar. If I wanted to play along to the backing track in the key of F, I have to play Bye Bye Blackbird in the key of B. Meaning, which is a real wonky range of the guitar to try to play this tune in, like if you're playing on a regular guitar. So it gives me the opportunity to practice playing tunes along with my same backing tracks that I like to use without having and playing them in different ranges of the guitar without having to, really think about it. I'm very happy with how this pickup turned out. And this cover didn't come with holes. I drilled those in myself, which means they are not straight. But the screws fit in well enough. Dropped one of my little ear things. I'm going to grab that in a sec. And I just learned that I can do this thing. I can pause and restart the recording. So no more me fumbling around all weird like. Except I forgot to plug the guitar back in. Like an idiot. So, it is a Q&A episode. Sort of. Very, very, technically. But there's only one question I'm answering today. And it's from a follower of a long time. This dude was in my he followed very shortly after I started posting on TikTok, and he was in some of what seems like my first ever live streams on TikTok. So he's been around for a while, so I'm happy to answer a larger question for him. And his question was, it started out with, I've got your major enclosures down. What about the Aeolian ones? How do I make your enclosures sound Aeolian? And that's a big sort of topic to sort of get into. So in C major, I won't go over how to make the enclosures. You can find that in a previous podcast, but I'll go over them very briefly. That's what you do for 2 whole steps. That's what you do for a whole step and a half step. That's what you do for a half step and a whole step. Then you apply those patterns across the major scale. And I think this is where some of the confusion comes from. Because I'm playing these enclosures within the major scale, it might lead some to believe that these are enclosures for major stuff. However, that's not how I think of them. I put them within the framework of the major scale because we use the major scale so often. Really, it's just a logical way to organize the enclosures, and some likely things will happen. We'll find some things. Like putting 2 enclosures together into the rest of your line. It's just a technical facility sort of exercise. I'm not really even doing it in the major scale. I'm doing it within the 3-note per string framework. And I just happen to call the major scale as shorthand. Really, it's from the major pitch collection, but they're positions. Or fingerings. These are fingerings. They're not scales. According to, we're going to do it again. Get your bingo card ready. According to invoking the name of Jimmy Bruno. These aren't scales. These are his fingerings. Remember that time where I figured out the chords that go along with these fingerings? Like live on the podcast. So I put the enclosures within my positioning system, 3 notes per string. That's what I put everything in. Every single exercise. I want to be able to do it in position. Like this, we got an idea like this. And I'm not very good at that idea, but I've seen folks use that to great effect, playing down triads diatonically, which is cool. But if you're not particularly confident on where all the notes are on the fingerboard, really confident here, and then start doing one of these, when you get here, you're completely lost. I'm not. So, I mean, that's all well and good, but I want to be able to do everything in position. So I did all my triads in position within the 3-note per string framework. That was very, very useful for me. Because now it doesn't matter where I am, I have triads available. Now it's time for me to go through the other inversions and get those mastered in all the positions. I'll do that some other time. I'll do that when I'm not recording a podcast. And the pitfall with a lot of these exercises, especially the ones that not that I come up with, but the ones that I choose to play for myself and adapt to the guitar, they sound like music. I don't want to play an exercise that's not music. I hate this with a fiery passion. Because this does not sound like music. Not any music that I'd want to listen to. That was an exercise given to me by my pops. So do that. We'll get you real good. It got me good at that. So once you do that, 1, 2, 3, 4 is all the way up, all the way down, and then reverse. And I wasn't picking that, but the idea is to pick all of it. And my pop said, once you get done with the first fret, then you move to the second fret and do it all the way to 12. That is torturous. That's not a fun time. So rather than playing stuff like that doesn't sound like any music that I want to listen to. I started to play exercises that sounded like music. And I got this from a old Victor Wooten video from the Bass Day 98. So he was talking about practicing scales and if you want to practice your scales, put a groove to it. Play E major, like funky. And I did a lot of that on bass. That really helped get me to the place where I could fake a lot of things. Because I knew where all the notes were, I knew my scales, and I played through all these different grooves. So if I knew the changes to a song, and I knew the groove, I could play something that made the song feel like the song. And it only really problematic when there's a very, very specific bass part that is iconic. You're not getting that. There are the odd folk who are really particular about playing the exact part. And a lot of times my response to that is that's got to be reflected in my paycheck. It's a $50 gig for $50 for 2 hours. You're getting the base level package. You don't get any of the extras. You essentially got the trial run. You purchased the trial package, which means I show up and I play based on what I hear from the band. And if I'm lucky, I'll get some charts and some changes, but a lot of times I'm just faking through for the low entry fee package. If you want me to play exact parts, it's going to cost a little bit extra. Another thing that grinds my gears is bands that get together to rehearse every week without a gig on the books. You all rehearse all the time. That's fine. gotta be a gig on the books or some real cool musical things going on to where it's very, very fun to play. And I'm just speaking for myself. If I'm excited to play the music and I have a little bit of freedom and I get to try new things, I'm much more likely to join a band that rehearses every week. If you're playing cover songs and rehearsing every single week, you've sort of lost the plot. Like, I feel like very disrespected if a band would asks me to rehearse every week cover songs for gigs that don't pay very much, or there's no gigs on the books at all. That's wild to me. It feels like very disrespectful. I got a call from a band, and I played and met drummer, the guitar player, one time before, and I'd never met the band leader. But he gave me a list. No rehearsals. I did my homework because he paid for the I do my homework package. He got the Medallion Gold Plus Club membership. Medallion Gold Plus Club package. And I showed up and played it well enough to get asked back. No rehearsal. So going from doing something like that to being asked, we rehearse once every week. We might start thinking about rehearsing twice every week. You got any gigs? No. It feels like a step backwards for me. And not the most efficient use of my time. And I'm not one to think my time is wasted often. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get some blowback for that, but if you, I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. Back to the issue at hand, the enclosures. And I'm going to stay on topic now. You can tell I'm recording this episode later in the day. I would forgive you for thinking those are major enclosures. I do not think of them that way. The enclosure is that. And I would also forgive you for thinking like this is something to play over C, something with a C in it. So I can play this enclosure over A minor, C, or F. No. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But really, we are enclosing D. So that enclosure is something to play over something that has a D in it, or something that you want to accentuate D on. C major 7. If I am conscious that I want to accentuate the 9, then I can play it over C. But really, works well over D7, D minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, or G7. I guess this. Oh, this is B minor 7 flat 5, or G7. So each enclosure is sort of independent of everything else that is going on. That's the way I look at it. So the second part of the question was, how do I make the enclosures sound Aeolian? And to that I would respond, how do you make anything sound Aeolian? You accentuate the characteristic notes of the Aeolian mode. And maybe next week I'll do the video on modes. Barry Harris doesn't like modes. So, I'm not the biggest mode preacher. I'll play a major chord progression. Let's take that. That sounds real C major to me. Now, let's take that same melody, put it over an Aeolian chord progression. What could I play for the F major 7? I could play that. Probably just that. 2, 3, 4. Now it sounds Aeolian. But it worked over the major progression. It's because I was playing around the third. Playing the note that wants to resolve down to the third. And doing it again. However, this is the characteristic note of Aeolian, the flat sixth. Aeolian is a minor type scale or mode. Its character note, flat six. Or really, you could just think of it as the minor scale, but I'll often play minor without any sixth, because that leaves it a little bit more ambiguous, but it's still very clear that it's a minor sound. I could also play Dorian. Dorian's characteristic note is the natural sixth. Aeolian's characteristic note is the flatted sixth, and then Phrygian's characteristic note is the flatted 2. So, I was playing with that flat sixth characteristic note of Aeolian. Playing stuff from the C major pitch collection. So that's how you make the C major pitch collection sound Aeolian. You play over an Aeolian progression and accentuate the characteristic notes of Aeolian. So, if we're using the C major pitch collection, accentuating the characteristic notes of Aeolian, we can use the enclosures that accentuate or land on or enclose good notes in Aeolian. So I can enclose that F, preferably on a chord that has an F in it. And you don't have to use every enclosure. Like, you don't even have to start an enclosure. tried real hard to avoid my natural tendencies there, which would to use a lot of like melodic or harmonic minor stuff. Because in my opinion, all the notes are good. It's just when are certain notes good. I used all the pitches there. And there's some that you have to be a little bit more careful of than others. Like playing A minor. Can't live here. What's a better example? Too long. And if you take that major third over a minor chord and move it down, that's not a proper resolution. I don't think. It's a resolution that sounds more like a mistake. That is very, very usable. C sharp a bunch there. It's A minor. Major third is C sharp. So to make something sound Aeolian, you gotta be playing over an Aeolian progression. And you gotta be playing characteristic notes of Aeolian. So what is that? An A minor triad plus F. It's basically how I think of it. G, if you're nasty. And the 11 and 9 are cool too. Oh, that's all of the notes in the Aeolian mode. 1, 3, 5, 9, and 11. Subtract 7 from that. You got 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flat 6. And then the 7. That's 7 notes. A minor triad plus F. 9, 11. That's cool. I shouldn't have said it like that. 9 and 11. That's cool. That's going to get clipped out of context. And then the 7. Also cool. So that's the natural 6th. Flatted 6th. Sorry. That's enclosing up the Aeolian mode. Because the enclosures are dependent, at least as far as I conceptualize it as an exercise, on the notes that are above and below the target note. So, got a whole step below, whole step above. I play this enclosure every time. Closing this note, got a half step above, whole step below. I play that enclosure every time. In reference to that exercise, you can close something however you want. There's lots of cool enclosures. I got a student who made them in reverse. Sound pretty cool. I told him I'd learn them. Still haven't done it. Never mind. I learned them. Cool. So, I can apply it to any pitch collection that contains those three sets of intervals. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step. What has those pitches? Only those interval sets? Melodic minor. Enclosures within the melodic minor scale. What also has those interval sets? Believe it or not, the diminished scale. It has whole step, and half step, whole step. Don't even bother with the two whole steps. Screwed that up. How did In theory, that's how you do it. So that's enclosures within the diminished scale. What I have not figured out yet is how to deal with that augmented second in the harmonic minor scale. So, could play that. I don't know what to do there either, because that's augmented second, half step, augmented second. That's a possibility. Still workshopping this one. I've been thinking about it for like a couple of years. Not very hard, obviously, but every now and again that idea will come in my brain. How do I deal with that augmented second in the enclosure rules? And then I think of something else. Like, I wonder when my wife's going to get bagels again. It's of that level of idea. Not sure if I like that. Not sure if I like that either. Don't like that because I'm giving away the target note. That's one thing about all of these enclosures. The target note is not given away at any point before we land on it. So, this one. That in theory could work. That's how a lot of folks try to play that enclosure as the whole step, half step one. 1 and 2. We've given away our target note on beat 2. When we're waiting an extra beat to do that. So that's what I'll play there. To not get to that note too early. So when using these enclosures, it's not like, okay, I have a scale of enclosures now. It's just based on what notes you have around. Like, so say I'm playing something in A minor. Right there, I played a G sharp, which could come out of a harmonic minor or a melodic minor. That'd be a Dorian enclosure. switched between the three natural 9 minor 4 5 4 natural 9 minor sounds. A Aeolian, a Dorian, a melodic minor, a harmonic minor. It's harmonic minor. Melodic minor. Dorian. Aeolian. Garlic Aeolian. So I'm closing the 7th there and going down the arpeggio. That's an Aeolian sound because we're starting something on that character note. I shifted there to D minor a little bit via the way of C sharp. Then from D minor, play B minor 7 flat 5, E7. That's a cool progression to sort of play over a little bit. Play it like that. Bar of A minor, minor 2-5, bar of D minor, minor 2-5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was enclosing a lot of the chord tones from the changes. That's where I was drawing my enclosure ideas from. And there's certain information that is given. What if I'm enclosing this note over E minor 7 flat 5 and I came from an A minor? What enclosure do I play? Probably that one. Maybe. But we're going to D minor, so why would I foreshadow some sort of F sharp? Closing the G. Since I used that F, use that enclosure. And the 11 is good over a minor 7 flat 5 sound. So I use to enclose that B flat. And then next chord tone, 7th. Coming from A minor, so we're probably going to use a C. That's the root of E minor 7 flat 5. So use that enclosure. Make sense? Enclosing the 3rd of D minor. Then I can disregard this a little bit. So we've got an augmented 2nd there. So how are we going to deal with that? Now I've found a practical reason to think of how am I going to deal with the augmented 2nd. Because in a vacuum, in a scale, I had little to no motivation. Here's a real-world application. I want to enclose the 3rd of the 5 chord in a minor 2-5. It starts me on the flat 5 of a minor 7 flat 5. That's like my natural inclination to play. Let me try that again. Again, enclosing chord tones using information from the changes. That is, I believe, a far more effective thought process in using these enclosures over different sorts of chord sounds. Now, I'm going to give you a much simpler answer to how do I make my enclosures sound. I practice the major enclosures. How do I make my enclosures sound Aeolian? What did you play for C major? Play that for A Aeolian. You can apply that to basically anything. And if the progression is like in a scale exercise. So what you did in the C major pitch collection. There's A. Now you'd start here or here. Boom, Aeolian. Let's make it D Dorian or A Dorian. Let's make it A melodic minor. Let's make it A diminished. Almost got it. Learned that through the course of a podcast. So I'm gonna ask your question. I'm gonna finish the answer to your question. I'm having trouble today with word. I don't know word good. I'm gonna finish the answer to your question with a question of mine. Why? What is the purpose for wanting to play Enclosures Aeolian? You might have a very simple answer that makes a lot of sense. But I urge you to come up with an answer and then try to tear that answer down. Like, figure out if there are other whys to that why. For example, I want to learn how to play Aeolian Enclosures in Aeolian. Why? Well, because so-and-so song is in Aeolian. And then there's an entire other can of worms. Is it? Like, Autumn Leaves. Where I'm thinking of a very specific recording. So, that Autumn Leaves would be in the key of G minor. The Miles Davis recording, I think. G minor is G Aeolian. This is not G Aeolian. So, if you think of one of your favorite songs is in an Aeolian sound, verify that. That is an important step. And if it is in Aeolian, you verified that, learn the song in a deeper manner. Like, learn the changes in your sleep. Learn each individual chord as it moves to each other individual chord. So, C minor 7, moving to F7, moving to B flat major 7, moving to E flat major 7, moving to A minor 7 flat 5, moving to D7 altered, moving to G minor 7, moving to G7 altered. Or second time through, staying there and going up to A minor 7 flat 5. And then learn to simplify that. That's a lot of information to keep in your head. That's just 2 5 1 4, and then minor 2 5. 2 5 1 4, minor 2 5, and then a 5 chord to get back to the 2 chord, or just staying here. And then we got another minor 2 5, and then 2 5 1, and then another minor 2 5. And then some interesting things happen here. I like that one. So that'd be G minor, 2 dominant, so a 2 5 to the 5, then a 2 5 to the 4. I also hear that line cliche. But those two sort of moves, they get you to the same place. You're starting on the minor of the key. So think of it as key of B flat major or G minor. G minor is the minor for those two keys. And then some charts will have minor 2 5 1. What I like to do, 2 5 to the 4, like the natural place that I would want to go is to the 4. And the 4 chord has a relative minor, which is the 2 chords. Those are related, so I can go down to the 2 chord. I can put the 6 in the bass as well. That gets me the minor 2-5, where that A minor 7 flat 5 is coming from. So. I was going for this chord. So, I grabbed a big ol' F major 9. I was going for an F dominant chord. But hey, according to Mr. Enemy of the podcast, go watch the Dunning-Kruger episode if you want more info on that. That's fine as a dominant chord. Major chord can function as a dominant chord. No! To quote the wonderful Toki Wartooth, oh, screw you all off. Anyway, that's the whole thing on enclosures. Like, if you want to learn something, ask why. And then come up with some real good reasons. And in doing that, you may reverse engineer some things that you need to learn before that. So, putting together a set of foundational skills is important, but don't lose the forest from the trees. Like, if you want to learn these enclosures to play bebop, like, just take 1 or 2 of them. Like, what do you do after that to make bebop? Arpeggio. Barry Harris chromatic. Another enclosure. Enclosure, arpeggio. Enclosure, arpeggio, enclosure. Can I do that? Like, is that almost like a paradiddle? It's like the bebop paradiddle. Enclosure, arpeggio, enclosure, arpeggio, enclosure, arpeggio. That's my brain's broken. We're done here for tonight. Thanks for the question. You know who you are. Appreciate you. And hit follow, hit subscribe, hit the like button, do all that stuff. If you stayed here till the end, very much appreciate you. And 2 more episodes left this season. Bye!